Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Well, happy Friday, everybody. I hope you've had a great week in beautiful San Diego. Of course, we're coming to you from Attorney King's studio in Coronado, California. And I'm very honored today to have a friend of the show and a friend of mine, of course, we have a long history. We've just kind of been vacant from each other's lives for a while, but it's interesting how we've been brought back together for the greater good. I have, of course, the Paula Whitsell, who is a Republican involved in the Republican Party of San Diego. She's a chairwoman.
That's correct.
And the glue. And you know what's going on, of course, in San Diego. And right now, more than ever, these are important issues and offices that are going to be coming up, aren't they?
Yes, we have a lot of offices coming up on November 8th, although ballots here will be dropping on October 5th.
Okay.
And so you could expect to receive them in the mail around October 7, 8, 9. And we have until November 8th to get those ballots back into the registrar of voters.
How do you feel about the voting by mail? There's some people seem concerned, some don't. What's your take on it?
I think generally speaking, the safest way to vote would be in person. But here in California, we don't have that choice. It's now 100% mail-in ballot. So obviously there are measures that we're taking to help make that process more trustworthy. One of the things that's very different than what we've recommended in the past is when the mail-in ballots come in, we're asking all the voters to vote right away. Don't let that ballot sit on your kitchen counter for 30 days, because we can track when your ballot has been received and counted. And that way candidates don't have to waste resources knocking on your door saying, hey, get that ballot in. So we are asking our voters to vote right away. If by day 15 you have not received, you're tracking and verifying that the ballot has been received and counted. And if by day 15 it has not been received and counted, you can ask for a provisional ballot to make sure that one of those ballots are counted.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would recommend is that San Diego County, across the county, mostly in public libraries, but also in some churches, they have registrar voter controlled drop boxes. I view that as being a safer way of getting those ballots returned than putting them in the mail. We hear anecdotally, we hear stories of ballots being thrown away, that sort of thing. But if you drop it in a drop box that's controlled by the registrar of voters, then you're certain that that ballot will get back to the registrar of voters to be counted. Those boxes are manned 100% of the time by a San Diego County employee designated by the registrar of voters. Usually they open around 10 in the morning and they're there till 4 in the afternoon. At the end of the afternoon, they take that drop box back to the registrar of voters, and those ballots are then counted. So it's a safer way to make sure that your ballot makes it back to the registrar of voters.
Okay. So big campaigns going on right now for different seats. Why don't we start with Chula Vista?
Chula Vista is the second largest city in the county of San Diego. So Chula Vista is within our reach. We have some key races coming up in Chula Vista. We have the mayor's race, which is John McCann. We have District 1, which is Marco Contreras. And we have District 2, which is Steve Stenberg. And we have the city attorney's race also that's up for grabs, which is Dan Smith. The gentleman who was running, the other candidate who made it past the primary, has passed away. So the only candidate left is Dan Smith, but the gentleman who passed away will still be on the ballot. So we need to make sure we get Dan Smith across the finish line on November 8th. Otherwise, it'll go to a special election.
Okay.
But those races are important because Chula Vista is the second largest city in the county of San Diego, and they also have a significant impact on Sandag. They have 2 votes on Sandag because they're a larger city. And so some of the measures and issues being taken up by Sandag, we can help deal with them, such as the mileage tax. No one likes that mileage tax.
It's interesting because I thought that had gone away, because I know Carl DeMaio was really supportive and really behind that, and it seemed like he snuffed it out. But it's like cancer, it's come back.
Yeah. Sandag, they've approved a plan that they want for additional mass transit, and they want to fund it with this gas tax. So it keeps cropping back up. Todd Gloria had said, oh, no, I'm not going to vote for this, but then now it's cropping back up. That's the reality. So one of the ways to kill it is if we have the 2 votes from the city of Chula Vista's Sandag on the Sandag board, that will move us a long way towards killing that gas tax and some of the other measures that they're taking to make our lives behind the wheels of our cars in San Diego County much more difficult.
So I think that what the big deal is that the state of California is really strongly advocating getting rid of fossil fuel cars. And so one thing is make it difficult, of course, by taxing something to making it more expensive because you're going to want to go to the other direction. But what people are not understanding is the grid isn't up to date to handle all this building that they're talking about. The grid is way behind the times. And so you'll have all these electric cars and they don't have enough at this point, enough stations to charge a car. So, and you're building on sand because the grid is really behind the times. And at any time, that grid can go down.
Yes, and the problem is that the regulatory burdens here in the state of California will make that very difficult for the state to catch up with that electrical grid. As you saw, within the last 2 weeks when we had that heat wave, they were telling electrical vehicle owners not to charge their cars.
Yeah,
so,
isn't that interesting?
I mean, so how's that going to work?
It sounds like
that's today before we get all these other vehicles online.
So why aren't we focusing? And I know we're going on a tangent here, but I'm real fired up about what's going on in our city and of course the state. Why aren't we focusing on the important things like getting homeless veterans off the streets and instead of having this major problem going on with roads? We have more homeless right now than we've ever had in San Diego, period, all around. Yeah, they're saying, we can put them in hotels and there's a debate about that, but it seems like we're putting a Band-Aid on the whole homeless situation. And it's not getting any smaller.
No, and that's the other reason why we need to get Republicans into these municipalities, into the city councils across the county, not only because of Sandag and the vehicle mileage tax, but also to deal in a practical manner with safety and homelessness and some of the other issues that impact our daily lives. When you walk down the street and you have a homeless person parked right there, it's not only bad for the community, but it's also bad for the person who's living on the street. It can't be healthy. It can't be a positive thing for them. And they're not getting help. They're not getting the assistance they need. And these solutions of putting them in a hotel is a temporary solution and really does not address the problem. So
it probably also creates more crime, I would think, in those areas that they're going into. And I don't want to say that all homeless are like that, but there does seem to be consistency with more crime when you bring more of a homeless element into an area. Would you agree?
Yes, because at some point they need to eat, they need to be able to live their lives, and so they start reaching out to other means of getting $10 to be able to go to the McDonald's down the street. So it's not healthy. It's not healthy,
and we won't even get into the drug thing because that's a whole different area. So with all these, I mean, this is an important time to get involved and vote. Because you can't blame anybody but yourself if you don't get out and vote and get behind what you believe in, because these things are not going to change by themselves, are they?
No. And, we talk about all the issues that are going on in our cities and our county and our state. But the first step in fighting back is we have to vote, because if we quit, they win. So I would implore everyone who receives their ballot, not only vote early, but make sure that you vote. Because the first step in fighting back and making sure that we can take our cities back, our school boards back, our county and our state is by voting. And that's really the first step. So we really can't discuss any of these other issues if we don't get out and vote and express our desires as a constituency to the people who are running for office as to what's important for us. So we have to get out and vote.
So we talked about the mayor Chula Vista race, of course, which is a huge one. Chula Vista, for the longest time, seems like it was never really got the respect that it should have gotten. For whatever the reason, I've always respected it. I live in the community still. I love Chula Vista. I care what happens, of course, just like you do. I think you also live in Chula Vista, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
We care about Chula Vista. And so we do hear the rumblings from what other people think Chula Vista is. but there's such a diversity of things happening in Chula Vista. And one thing we were talking about earlier today, and of course we're getting off a little bit of off the beaten path here, but it's something that should be highlighted and applauded. We have a great police department in Chula Vista run by Roxanne Kennedy, who has one of probably the top drone program in the United States. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Chief Roxana Kennedy is a blessing to the city of Chula Vista, and she's very innovative. And she, with the resources that she has available to her, been able to innovate and create these programs that have really brought the next level of policing to the city of Chula Vista. So they've implemented this drone program. I was able to see a couple of weeks ago a demonstration of that program. It was really, really interesting, and it does lift the level of safety for the citizens of Chula Vista, and we can really thank Chief Roxana Kennedy for that. And she's making the best use of the resources she has, and the drone program really has been outstanding. We have probably it's the premier program in the United States. We have other countries coming to Chula Vista to get instructed on how we are running our drone program and what are the benefits it brings to the community and how that can supplement public safety in the community. So we had people from, I believe, Denmark and Sweden a couple of weeks ago here learning about our drone program. So
wow,
top of the line.
That's impressive.
Top of the line.
So we also have this amazing elite athletic center, of course, in East Lake, which were at one time was being housed with a lot of the Olympic athletes, which I think they're still there. There's a lot of great things. And we have the Bayfront project, of course, with Gaylord coming in. Chula Vista is an important city, and the vote of who's mayor, of course, John McCann has been involved there for decades as a city councilman, of course, and he lives in the area and he loves the area. And so that's an important vote.
Yes, it certainly is. And to support John McCann's efforts on the city council, we need to support him by voting in the two open city council seats that are available in Chula Vista, District 1 and District 2, so that he will have the support he needs to be able to get the job done.
So Steve Stenberg, and then who's the other individual?
Steve Stenberg is in District 2, and then we have Marco Contreras in District 1, which is the old district, the east side, where John McCann was originally city councilman.
Is Marco a minister?
Yes, he is. He's a minister with Awakened Church in East Lake.
I've heard about him.
Yeah, he's in that community and very active in the community and well respected. So
I look forward to meeting him. I don't think I've met him yet.
Yeah, this would be a great addition to the city of Chula Vista.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Because I've heard a lot of good things about him. So what other race in your opinion, there's a lot of them, but what comes to mind? What about the district attorney? Because we're not hearing a lot about that.
Well, the district attorney, that ended up being quite an interesting race. We have Summer Stephan, and last go around, we did have a George Soros candidate run against her.
Really?
Yes, we did. And we pulled all stops and we beat that candidate. And so this go around, Summer, of course, is running again. And George Soros declined to fund any candidate to run against her. And so she is unopposed. So she essentially, she's won her race already. So we are blessed to have District Attorney Summer Stephan again for another 4 years, because
she has been effective.
She has been very effective.
She's taken some heat, but she seems to have explained her reasons on things. She's always clear. You never have to wonder with why she makes her decision. She explains everything.
Yeah, she's rational and has good common sense. And so George Soros decided not to waste his money on trying to run somebody against her. So here in San Diego County, we were blessed to not have a crazy district attorney. We have somebody who's strong and solid, such as Summer Stephan.
Okay, what about the county supervisor positions? What's going on with that?
We have two county supervisor positions open. We have Jen Desmond up in North County.
Oh, yeah.
And he is the incumbent, so he is running for re-election. And it is real important that we get him reelected. And then we have Amy Reichart, who's running against Nathan Fletcher.
Okay.
So
that's an interesting race.
Yes, it sure is.
Desmond should win pretty much hands down, right?
Well, you would think, but
he's done a great job.
He's done a great job. He's solid. He's very involved in his community. He's done a lot of great things. He was very active during the pandemic, so he was putting out notices to the community about what was going on, what resources were available. So he did a great job during the 2 years of the pandemic. But there are other forces at play that make it so that he cannot take it for granted, and we're not taking it for granted. We're out in force, making sure that we can get him across the finish line.
Okay.
So we cannot take anything for granted. We need to make sure we keep that seat, because we have Joel Anderson in East County and we have Jim Desmond in the North. And if we were to lose that seat, then the Democrats would have a supermajority, and pretty much they wouldn't need to even give us a call.
Okay.
So we need to keep that seat in Jim Desmond's hands, and we're working very hard for that. We have Amy Reichert running against Nathan Fletcher.
That's probably getting a lot of response, I would think.
Yeah, and she's a fighter. So, she is not quiet. She is out and visible and fighting. And
have they debated at all?
No, they haven't. But I
think that would be a great debate.
I think it would be. I think it would be. She could definitely hold her own.
Maybe that's why there isn't a debate.
It's possible. It's possible.
I guess the way a lot of these candidates run nowadays is they have a way. It started with Biden. It seems like they kind of hide in the cellar.
Yeah, and I think to a certain degree, Nathan Fletcher, for one, is taking things for granted, and he just thinks he has it in the bag, so he doesn't really need to debate her. But I see her campaign gaining a lot of momentum because people are not happy with homelessness, safety, a lot of the issues we have going on here in San Diego County. So, and she's addressing those issues with what she plans to do up front. So I think it would be really interesting. And she's loud and proud. And so we're very excited about her campaign. So it should be interesting, definitely.
You have a fun job.
Oh, never boring, that's for sure. Never a dull moment.
Do you sleep? You have any moments of taking naps? Or I can't imagine how many hours you're working a day.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
What other races are important, do you think?
Well, we have some other city council races that are real important.
Okay.
And again, a part of it is because Sandag. We need to make sure that we keep Sandag under control. And so we have, we have San Marcos, which is Rebecca Jones is the incumbent mayor, and Mike Sanella is running for city council. She has been a warrior princess at Sandag. She is the incumbent. She's running for re-election, but she has really been a fighter at Sandag to call them on some of these policies that they're trying to implement, how these policies would impact the middle class here in San Diego and the lower class here in San Diego County. And so we definitely need to make sure we get her across the finish line. But we have other cities as well. We have Carlsbad with this Keith Blackburn and Melody Burkholder and Ray Pearson, again, running for mayor and city council. We have Escondido, which is within our grasp. We have Dane White and Joe Garcia. Joe Garcia is running for city council. That was all redistricted, so the lines completely changed. Joe Garcia is an incumbent, but he's running for the district. He got drawn out of his district, so he's running for the district that he now lives in, which is not the one he's currently in. So, and again, these cities are important because of the Sandag vote. And Escondido was one of the cities that voted in favor of the mileage tax, so we need to take out the incumbent and put Dane White as the new mayor so that we can address this issue of the mileage tax. So that's another city that's important. But another one that has really turned out to be quite a fireball is La Mesa.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's going on in La Mesa?
La Mesa was interesting. Last year, we had a special election for the La Mesa City Council.
Okay.
Because Shirley Weber was promoted to Secretary of State.
Right.
So Akila Weber, her daughter,
Right.
ran for her seat on the assembly, and
Okay.
Akila was on the La Mesa City Council. And so that seat became vacant. So we ran Laura Lothian, and there were a couple Democrats that ran as well. We cleared the field, so we only had one Republican. And we ran a very smart campaign in conjunction with Reform California and other groups here in San Diego County. And we all worked together as a team, and we pulled her across the finish line. She creamed the other side. She had 38% of the vote,
Wow.
and the closest Democrat had 21%.
Wow.
So we're using that same philosophy now where she's running for re-election.
Okay.
We have Christina Alicio running for mayor, who was a former city councilwoman, who was off for a while. Now she's back and she's running for mayor.
Who is she running against?
She's running against the incumbent. She's running against the incumbent, and the incumbent
Mayor,
voted.
is it Apostle?
Yes, and he voted in favor of the gas tax, the mileage tax.
I have met him. He seems to be a nice man. I've met him a couple times. He was actually on my radio show. Very charismatic. Don't know what he's voted for. Didn't really know, but I have met him.
It's interesting. He started out very central and even killed, and over the years he's migrated to the left. And so he's now in favor of some of these crazy policies. And so we have Christina Alicio running against him. Laura Lothan's running again for her seat. And we have Tony Orlando running for the other vacant seat on the city council.
He's not singing anymore.
Well, I don't know if he's singing, but he speaks really well. He's a pastor also, but
you got the joke, right?
Yeah.
You're probably too young to remember Tony Orlando and Don.
No, I probably don't remember.
Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree was a song.
I know the song.
Great song.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but
it wasn't funny. That totally bombs. Anyway, we'll get back on course.
Good try.
So La Mesa, Tony Orlando's running. He's you say a minister also?
Yes, and he's he grew up in the community, so he's someone that knows the community well. And then we have Bill Exeter, who's running for the city treasurer. So we have what we call the Fab Four running into La Mesa, and they're running as a team. So everyone's helping everyone. They're all walking and door knocking and campaigning together, so they can get everyone from the team across the finish line again. So then they take back their Sandag vote. And La Mesa was one of the key votes that brought the mileage tax across the finish line back in December.
Really?
Which was why it was important we took that Laura Lothian seat back, and now we need to keep it and make sure we get a Republican mayor and Christina Alicio, Tony Orlando in the other city council seat, and someone who can watch the spending, the budgets and the numbers, which is Bill Exeter, because if there's no accountability in the spending, then as we know, things can get off the rails real quickly. So La Mesa is also another important city.
Especially nowadays, it seems like we're hearing more and more things about cities being, going in debt.
Yes.
Having problems. And the way the economy is going, I would think it's probably a time to really tighten up everything.
Yes.
There's a lot of uncertain things coming.
Yeah. And we have some seats going on, and we have 2 seats open in Oceanside. So
that's an interesting city too.
Yes.
It's changed a lot the last couple of years.
It sure has.
There's a lot of development going on. It's a nice area. It seems to be a lot of military right in that area.
Yes. Well, they're right next door to Camp Pendleton. Right. So, and we lost the mayor's seat last go around to a Democrat. And so things have kind of lurched to the left. So we have Corey Jensen on the city council, who's an incumbent, appointed incumbent, and she's running for re-election. And we have Rick Robinson, who's also running for the city council race up there. He is a retired fire chief. He just retired literally 3 or 4 months ago, so he could run for office. So he is running for the other open seat on the Oceanside City Council. So
have some water.
Thank you. So those are important seats, not only for the local politics and for running the cities and making sure they're run properly and fiscally responsible, but also because of the county-wide issues that we have going on. And each city has a voice in that county, in the countywide transit system, which is Sandag. So we need to make sure we have rational voices on those seats as well. So that's why those city council races are so important.
They are. And here's the thing. One message I want to get out there. First of all, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, whether you're Republican or Democrat, vote.
Of course.
That's the first thing. And we have seen a decline in voting. I will also say that look at what's going on in your city, look what's going on in the country, look at who's representing you in those areas, because if things are going great, they're going great. But if they're going bad, why would you continue to vote for something that's not good?
Right.
It's common sense, right?
Common sense. And
But
a lot of these issues are just common sense issues.
But it seems like a lot of common sense with what's going on has really been thrown out. It's like nobody looks at the reality of spending, like we talked about earlier, with a lot of the budgets and the things that are going on.
Well,
you can't just tax everybody every time you want something.
The Democrat solution to everything is just if you need something, you need a service, or you need an additional line item, just tax them, create a tax to pay for it. So, and
as it is, the people are already struggling. So just throw another tax.
Right. So at some point you're going to tax people out of their lifestyles. And that's what's happening in California, actually.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of people that are leaving. I think the moving trucks have verified that there's more people moving out than are moving in. I don't know how valid that is, by the way.
Well, that's what I've heard, is that the business community in California has declined significantly. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but they are declining. And so that's the tax base that's moving out.
Well, it's happening in a lot of places around the country. New York, a lot of people left New York also.
Yes.
So
the three highest states in terms of people leaving are California, New York, and Illinois. That's interesting. Being that those are all Democrat-run states.
It's hard to hear that about all that going on in those states, but I'm really sad to hear that in Chicago, because they do have a great hot dog and good pizza.
That's true.
Hopefully, as the tax has gone up, the hot dog hasn't gotten smaller and become mini hot dogs, and I hope the pizzas are still deep dish and they're not thin crust.
Yeah, the best hot dog here in San Diego is still Costco, because
they got a good hot dog.
They got a good hot dog.
They do they use a Hebrew? Is it a Hebrew dog?
Yeah. They've got a good hot dog.
That's a good dog. We're getting off the subject. Give us one last important city or area or
well, there's two that I would say that we need that you need to be aware of. First of all, we have the school board races, and they're so numerous I can't go through them all.
Right. But why is that so important?
I think during the pandemic, we were able to see how important the school board races are, because the school boards were making decisions for our children that were not in the best interests of our children. They were in the best interests of the teachers' unions. And so a lot of parents became more conscious of what was going on in the schools and the decisions that were being made for their children. And so school boards, parents are up in arms, and they want to take those school boards back. So children can get back to learning and back to what the schools should be doing, which is not what was happening during the pandemic. And then the other races that we need to be aware of and be conscious of are the state races, which would be the state assembly races and the state Senate races, because we need to take away that supermajority from the Democrats in Sacramento, because a lot of these crazy policies that are being implemented are all being implemented in Sacramento, and we really have no say. The opposition has their hands tied because they have a supermajority, so they pretty much don't need to ask us permission for anything. So we need to take that supermajority away from them. Even being in the minority, if they don't have a supermajority, they have to negotiate with us and they have to talk to us. Right now, they don't. So the state assembly and state Senate races are real important. You can always find out who the endorsed candidates are for those races by going to www.sandiegorepublicans.org. That's www.sandiegorepublicans.org. And that way you can see what candidates are endorsed by the party. And you can see it from governor all the way down to, planning group. So it has school board races.
This is an extensive list. I mean,
yes.
I mean, I told her earlier when she showed me this, I said she should have had it folded in 3. So she opened it up, it just kept opening up. But look at all this. These are all important seats. And so I wasn't aware that many seats were coming up.
We had 456 offices open in San Diego County this go round, and we were able to recruit people for most of them. And just so you know, we had 160 of those offices that we won outright because we did not have a Democrat file against us. So of the seats that we won outright, we won 55% of our seats The Democrats only won 28%. So we did a really good job of candidate recruitment. Obviously, we can always do better because there were some seats we still were not able to recruit somebody to run. But so out the gate, we already won 160 of those offices.
Wow. Well, I have to say, give credit to you because I know you're passionate. We're on the same page with a lot of things. It's nice to have a fellow Republican that is on the same page. It cares about Chula Vista and San Diego. I think we're very fair, and we're somewhat, I would say I'm a Reagan Republican, which I don't know how popular that is anymore, but that's kind of the way I look at things. I don't know what your basage would be, or
I think in many instances we have to be very pragmatic.
well, I think so. I think in San Diego we have a diversity here, and it's got to be friendly to everybody that's involved, so where nobody feels like they're being alienated in any way.
Of course.
Well, and we have to learn. Here's one thing I think you and I know about you. You're workable. You work with everybody. You try to find solutions. I think we need to find a way to go back to being that way. There's been a disrespect with negotiating, not so much I would say on our side, but I would just say we have to find a way to work together again, because honestly, it's about the good of the city and the people.
That's correct. That's why we all run for office. And that's why we volunteered to do this work, is because of the people.
I have a lot of friends that are Democrats. We don't agree on a lot of things, but there's a respect. The ones that I know are very respectful, and they do care. They're just a little bit different in the way they think, but there's nothing wrong with trying to find a way to work together. And I think you're that type of person too. And I think that's why you're seeing so many people win their cities.
Hopefully, and we can see a good turnout in November 8th. I would encourage everybody, please vote, because that's the important first step. And hopefully come November 9th, we're going to see a lot of those races in our corner.
Well, I appreciate you being here on your busy schedule.
Oh, no, my pleasure.
And I hope they gave you at least 2 or 3 assistants, because I can't even imagine. Every time I talk to you, you're everywhere. I don't know how you do it.
Oh, I have a good calendar.
Yeah, but your energy is amazing, and you're just doing such a great job. And I'm glad that we're working together, and anything we can do to help you, we're here for you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's very important.
It's important for our cities, our schools, our county, and ultimately our state and our country. We all have to pitch in and do our part.
And if we don't, and we're not happy with the results, who can we blame?
If we don't vote, it's ourselves.
Okay, you heard what Paula said, everybody. I appreciate you being here, Paula.
You're welcome.
All the information is there on the bottom of the screen for anybody that wants to go and check out all the great things that are going on with the Republican Party of San Diego. Paula Whitsell is doing a phenomenal job, and we're lucky to have her in San Diego. I want to thank all of you, of course, for watching today. And remember, be nice to each other. And of course, I got to thank my sponsors, Attorney King, Sequan Casino and Resort, IB Fitness, and Marina Teal for everything she does. And last but not least, Bona Faqueta, the garage in Coronado. Have you been there?
No, I have not.
We have to go there next time.
Good.
You can invite your husband. We'll have a nice spaghetti dinner or a nice pasta or something.
Yes, you're on.
Okay. Everybody take care. God bless. And we'll see you on the next show. Bye-bye.